mom.
I feel like there's a
StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube.
Hey. Yeah. So, for my birthday, Harrison, who is a composer and musician, designed, created, whistled the StitchyTube theme song that you just heard. And so it debuts here today in its entirety. It's actually a longer song than what I sing.
Yeah.
So it goes like, StitchyTube, now it's time to watch StitchyTube. StitchyTube, we'll have a lot of fun on StitchyTube. Watch me talk about needlework and some other stuff.
Yeah.
StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube. Right. But I just, shortened it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Harrison just had the idea.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting to do it for a while. I just thought you always like nailed the tune. Like it sounds like a Mr. Rogers-y kind of vibe to it. So ever since, you used to do it for Ytube, which I don't know if everyone is aware of, but you used to make
little a Ytube song,
miniatures, and that's where it started. And ever since you started that, I know other family members would just get it stuck in their head too.
Yeah,
but I was the same way. It's so catchy. So I always was like, I would love to do like a little jazz composition, a kind of cute little thing.
Yeah. So you played which guitars did you play?
So I played my my jazz guitar, I played the bass guitar, and I did the whistling. So it's all me.
Yeah. And he said he was in his room, and I couldn't hear him, what he was doing, but he said he was like, ah! He was just like getting frustrated.
And it's funny playing that cute little like jazz number, and like, dang it! Like just getting mad at it. But no, yeah, so I tried to make it sound like an old 70s bit. So I recorded it quieter and then turned the gain up so it was a little staticky and not quite right.
Yeah,
I'm really happy with how it
turned out really super cute. And Harrison used to... he traveled a couple times with me to shows, and he used to come and help me in my shop too. So he's no stranger to the needlework industry.
It's true. I also sold needlework on eBay for an extended period of time.
That's right.
So I'm familiar with a lot of the big names.
Yep.
I don't have the patience to stitch myself.
No.
So the problem is like I lack patience and I'm a perfectionist. So those two things make it really hard for me. Music is good because everything is very in the moment, and if I mess up, I can't.
You can't go back and like look at it
it's already
and
done.
Over it. It's
right,
like it's already faded away.
Right, and I do some poetry, and that's nice because then I can really just be a perfectionist and go in that mode. But but I don't know. There's something about stitching that I just like.
Yeah.
Spend 30 minutes making this bird, and I just like can't. I don't have it in me.
Make an X.
Right.
Now make an X 1 million times.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it looks great afterwards.
I
just can't. I'm not the type. I don't have the head for it.
And you've lived with needlework forever.
Oh yeah.
So like, do you have like a favorite style or like a designer or?
I think still my favorite one is, I want to say, it's not Jenny Wren. Jenny Bean. The
Halloween sampler.
The Halloween sampler is still my favorite. That one just nails. I like the kind of macabre, like Edgar Allan Poe-esque kind of style to it. I really dig that. Generally stuff more along that line. I tend to enjoy.
Yeah.
Anything with cute birds and animals on it. What's the one where the deer has the butthole on it? I don't know.
What was that one?
There's just the one
That's
X,
right.
the one pink X. For the,
I don't remember which
now.
one.
It was a
it was a reproduction. I don't remember, but now I'm going to be looking around.
Is it this one?
No.
Is that not it?
I don't know. No.
You all can imagine.
So there, it literally there is a deer with a little.
Just one. They took out the pink thread.
They took out the pink thread.
Got it ready. Yeah.
And it's literally in there. It's not a mistake.
And so worth it. However long it took to do that.
It makes the sampler. People like to say samplers are kind of primitive and don't look that realistic, but you gotta, God bless them.
Anatomically correct deer. Why not?
They did.
Just do it.
I forgot about that.
It's so great.
I gotta figure out which one. If I find it, I'll show it next video.
I would, anytime you do an animal, just
throw one in there.
One. Yeah. You at home, even if it's not on your sampler, I encourage you to just add that little detail.
People are going to be like, Harrison needs his own StitchyTube channel.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much. That was a wonderful gift.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
And everybody will be enjoying it. Everybody will be whistling it at home now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Everybody will get it stuck in their head. But I've already heard from a good number of people who say, I catch myself singing it at sometimes. And one person wrote and said, sometimes I just break into your little song And then when my husband hears me, I say, things are about to get all stitchy in here.
What? I'm not sure what that means.
It just means like, hey, I'm ready to do some
needlework.
needlework.
Yeah,
yep.
well.
Anyway. Well, thanks for coming on.
Hey, happy to be here.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds good.
bye.
Take care.
Isn't he great? I love having him here. I'm sure that sometime this year he'll be moving out. And that makes me sad, but it makes me happy for him because I think life is full of adventures and I know that he's ready to face them. Okay, so let's get started. I had some questions after the last StitchyTube video. I also had questions after the framing tutorials that I posted, and I'll be answering those in a separate framing tutorial later. So these are just questions after the last StitchyTube video. Country Stitcher wanted to know how I deal with slubs in my fabric. So if you stitch on linen, sometimes you're going to have threads that are like really thick and really thin, and a slub is one where it's just like a huge chunk of fiber that's all together, and it's kind of like a big, almost, it's not a knot, but it's like a big clump of fiber that sometimes you're stitching along, you're like, uh-oh, look at where'd this big clump come from. So your tendency is to want to pick it out, and I have picked them out before, sometimes with great success, where you can just kind of pick at it a little bit and debulk it. Sometimes it's disastrous, where you pick it out and now all of a sudden there's a hole there. So honestly, how I usually deal with slubs these days is, I feel like there's something sparkling in my hair. It's probably just gray, right? It's not the way I deal with slubs now is I just stitch right over them. Just treat it like it's a regular thread and it's going to look like kind of a chunky, bumpy stitch. But to me, I like things that are weird and crazy like that. And so I just don't let it bother me too much. So, but I have picked them out, and you can. One thing you can do is before you get started stitching to just give your fabric a good look over and see, is there any spot in this that's going to cause me any trouble? And maybe you can place your piece a little bit differently. I know a lot of the, like fabric, people who dye fabric and things really look for those. And try to avoid giving you a piece with too many big slubs. I know sometimes they'll get, just kind of a bad batch where it'll have kind of missing threads or cut threads, just, weird problems in it like that. Somebody else asked, and I don't know what your name was, I couldn't find it, but she wanted to know how I came up with design ideas. It's, I think if you ask any designer, everybody's different, but I think that a common answer would be just things around. So like sometimes you just see some colors and you're like, oh, those colors are really pretty together. And then you like, oh, what could I do? How could I make that into a design? Sometimes I'll hear a song or a phrase and it gets me thinking. Sometimes an idea just will pop into my head for like no reason. And I'm actually I never really kept a log before, but I'm starting to keep a log now of just design ideas that I get. Because sometimes I'll just be sitting somewhere or doing housework or driving, and I'll be like, oh, I have a great idea. And so right now I'm writing them down. I don't know, just inspiration just kind of strikes you out of the blue. And I think, the way my mind works is I'm always looking for connections between things. And so I'll just see something and it'll trigger a thought of something else. And they may not be super related at all, or they may be related in some really obscure little tiny way, but it just kind of leads me into, some idea for a design. I do too, like I watch what other designers do, and I look at antique samplers, and sometimes you see something and you're like, oh, I like the shape of that, or I like the way, this piece balances, or, you get ideas that way too. It's dangerous to really try to like copy someone's look. You have to really, make things look like your own and be true to yourself. Liz Hansen wanted to know if there was any advice I could give beginner sampler stitchers. And I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again because it bears repeating. Pick something that you absolutely love. So if you haven't stitched a reproduction sampler before, look around. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reproduction sampler designs by a lot of really great people who reproduce samplers. And the cool thing about antiques is there's all different styles. There's little ones and big ones, and ones that are all in one color and ones with a lot of color. And, things that are religious, things that are historical. There's our math samplers. There are geography samplers, historical samplers. There's anything that you can think of, there's a sampler. There are bright colors and muted colors, and things with lots of alphabets and lots of words, and things with no words at all. Some things are very symmetrical and balanced. Some things are just like spot samplers. It's like all these little motifs just all over with it's just randomly placed. And so you're you, and you're going to have your own types of things that you like to stitch. And you'll hear it, a lot of times people will say like, oh, I just had to buy this pattern. I don't know what it is about it. Pick one of those. Pick something that you're like, oh, that for some reason that like speaks to me in some way. Because I feel like even if you've never stitched a sampler before and the thing that you love is huge, stitch it. Why not? You don't have to start with something small or easy. I don't think that having like levels on a sampler, I think it can be helpful in some way, like to say something, oh, this is for an advanced stitcher. But I think the people who originally stitched these samplers were 7 years old or 8 years old or 9 years old, and may have been the first sampler they stitched. And so to say something like, oh, you shouldn't stitch that because you're a beginner, stitch it. You can figure it out. There are all kinds of videos online to show you how to do different types of stitches. You can ask friends, you can ask me, you can reach out to the designer. You can figure it out on your own. You can look at the chart. And so if you love something and you feel compelled to do it, and you'll learn a ton by doing it. And so don't be discouraged by thinking something like, oh, this is too big, or it has, 10 different kinds of stitches on it. You can do that. So pick something that you love, and don't feel like you have to abide by any rules. So if you want to stitch it on Aida, you should do that. If you want to stitch it on hand-dyed linen, you can do that. If you don't want to stitch it in silks and you want to stitch it in DMC, you can do that too. I'm not a big believer in rules as far as needlework goes. It's something that we should be doing for enjoyment. So do what makes you happy, do what fits within your budget, and just have a good time. And if you get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm not loving this anymore, or this is kind of getting to be drudgery, put it down for a while. Put it down for 3 years and come back to it. It's okay. It's okay to take a break, because sometimes some of these projects are just, really challenging. And so have fun. Just have fun. That's the biggest tip that I could give you. Find a needle that you really like. I like the Bowen French needles. They're a very nice, smooth working needle. But you got to imagine, these girls who originally stitched these samplers were not stitching with the kind of needles we have these days. And they didn't have Otlights, and they didn't have Q-snaps, and, so you can do it. That's my advice. You can do it. Okay, Annie Toth wanted to know, when I reproduce a sampler, do I stitch it first and then graph it? No. I actually sit, and I'll do a video on this someday. I think someday soon I will, maybe this summer, on how I go about reproducing a sampler. But I actually put on my cheater glasses, and I get a pencil, and I put a needle in the end of it, and I use that. I don't touch the stitches, but I count stitches with that. And I basically look at the sampler, just like your stitch. To me, looking at an antique sampler is almost like looking at a graph, where I'm like, okay, this is that green again. And then I have a program that I use called Mac Stitch. I have an Apple computer. I'm kind of an Apple girl. There are not a lot of programs for Mac, and I like Mac Stitch okay. There are a few features I wish that it had. I wish it had more symbols, and I wish some of the symbols get really mucky looking, and so I have to be really careful when I'm graphing it to make sure that the chart is legible. I used to use PC Stitch here at home because we had a PC at home and I had my Mac at work. And PC Stitch is a very good program, but you can get programs for pretty inexpensively. She wanted to know if I researched the original stitcher. And a lot of times when I buy samplers, there's just not really any information. Sometimes all I've got is a name. And the person that I buy it from is often on eBay. I've bought from Madalena before, but a lot of times, unless there's like a school or a place listed, there's just really no way to know where this person came from. And so I don't. There have been a few times where I've, really dug to try to find something. And the closest I came, what sampler was it? I'll have to see if I can feature it next time. There was a sampler, it might have been the Ann Hobbs sampler, where I found that, I think I found her. There wasn't much information, but I have a picture somewhere of the school. I'll see if I can find that for next time. I think I found the church where she was baptized, but there really wasn't a lot of other information. Sometimes these girls, they got married, their name changed, they died young, so there really isn't any record of like what they ended up doing with their lives. I really admire the people who reproduce samplers who are really good at the genealogy part of it. It's not something I know how to do, but so I typically don't. And, you know, sometimes when I buy a sampler, I'm like, hey, can you tell me anything about the sampler? I always ask. And a lot of times they say, oh, I found it at a flea market. They thought it was a napkin. You know, they don't know. So, okay, so that's that. All right, let's do a few shout outs. There are a few people that are newish to me, not necessarily new, but they're new to me that I've been watching, that I've been enjoying. Addicted Sisters, Nancy and Laura, do some really fun videos. They're so cute, and they obviously love each other, and they stitch together, and that's so cool, and they travel together, and they go to retreats and shops together. They have a couple of really cool tour videos. They did a tour of the Picture This Plus dyeing studio, and they don't take you through the entire process, but they show you like all the stations and like what is involved with dyeing the fabrics, and it's really, really neat. And so check out Addicted Sisters. I'm going to put all the links to these people below so you can find them. Yeah, it for sure is a gray hair, isn't it? Okay, Flannel Jammy's Farm. She's newish, not new, but newish. Donna Ray is very, very sweet. She's a beekeeper too, and so a recent video she showed, her bees all died this winter, and it's very sad, but she just bounced right back and got in some new bees, and she showed us like how she goes about getting the new bees established in their new home, and I think that was really cool. She also had a great video recently with Pat Ryan from R&R Reproductions, and Pat takes you through the process of how to iron your pieces and iron your linen so that it's really smooth. And now I got to go get a new ironing pad because now I'm kind of obsessed with this pad that she has. She has this really cool technique, but you'll have to check out Flannel Jammy's Farm. And Donna Ray is very, very sweet, and she has really cool hair. She has really cool hair. Okay. Julie at Gulf Coast Stitches. I have talked about her before. She has a new website, a new shop online, and she's very, very excited. She's carrying my things, but she's carrying a lot of other designers too, and she's just having a great time keeping up with all the demand. She's actually having a stitch along soon. It starts April 16th with the Here Lie My Needles pattern of mine. There's a Facebook group, and again, I'll put a link below, that you can join the stitch along. You don't have to buy your chart from Julie, but if you want to, you can. She's got stock on that chart, and you can join the stitch along that's on Facebook. And it's a very loosey-goosey Facebook. You just come and just share your progress and talk about the piece. There's going to be a bag and a needle minder that go along with the piece that you can purchase from 2 other places, and I'll put all of those links below. So go check out Julie's shop. It's very nice, and she's got a lot of really great stuff. Another person that I've been watching recently is Textile Style Lust, which you're going to have to check the link out below. It's very long. Her name is Lori. She is adorable. She has got, like, you will die when you see her. She just has mountains of fabric behind her, to the side of her, under her, above her, below her, anywhere. And she has the coolest projects. She doesn't only cross stitch. I think she's just recently come back to cross stitching, and she's fallen pretty hard. But she does all of these other really great crafts and things, and she shares those, and she's just got a very, very sweet personality. And so make sure to check out Lori. And then the last shout out I'm going to give is Country Stitchers. And they are 2 friends, Liz and Deb. They just have a couple of videos. They're very, very nice. They're very sweet friends, and they're very nice to sit and listen to. I love people that are just kind of positive and gentle and friendly and happy, and they're just fun to watch. And so go check out Liz and Deb. They do a lot of cool projects too, and they're very sweet together. I think together, you know, it's like Lennon and McCartney. Like sometimes people just like as a combo, it's like, okay, perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. So check them out too. All those links I'll put below so you can go check out all those new people. Okay. Last time we had a drawing for 4 issues of Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly that I had double copies of. And so the question was, what is something that you used to make for food that you haven't for a long time, but now you're like, why don't I make that anymore? And because I had made blueberry jam, and I hadn't done it for a while, and then I was like, why don't I do this anymore? So it was super fun to read all of your comments about all of the foods that you miss making. I was kind of shocked by some of them. Homemade bread, of course. A lot of people said bread, and I get it. I mean, yeah, we should all be making bread. Tuna casserole. A lot of people said, oh, I used to make tuna casserole all the time. I cannot make tuna casserole ever because my husband hates it. So I basically essentially made a promise at one point early in our marriage that I would never make tuna casserole, and so I do not. And it's not anything that I'm bummed that I can't eat it anyway. But I think, you know, the thing about something like tuna casserole is it's very homey. It's very it's comfort food. It's starchy, fatty, salty, you know, noodly, creamy. Anyway, so go back and look at that one. It was really fun to see what people make. And it was a lot of like cookie, you know, these cookies or this cake. And it was fun. And a lot of you, I think, were inspired then to make that thing that you hadn't made for a long time. But anyway, the winner of the 4 copies of Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly is Betty Ulan. And she said that she used to make meringue kisses. They melt in your mouth. Doesn't that sound wonderful? So Betty, I hope you made some meringue kisses. And if not, you should make them now to celebrate, because I'm going to send you some magazines. Please send me a message via YouTube, private message. Or if you can't figure that out, just put a message below and we'll get in touch with each other so I can get your address. But congratulations, Betty. We'll do another drawing at the end of this video. Okay, new segment. And it's just a quickie. And I'm calling it Cheap and Cheerful. And the idea of something cheap and cheerful, I think it's kind of an English saying that something cheap and cheerful is something that's just small, doesn't cost a lot of money, isn't too big of a deal, but it's just kind of makes you feel happy. And I feel like all of us, like we're all friends, the YouTube community, we're all just a bunch of friends that happen to live in different countries and different cities all over the world. And a lot of times when you're friends with someone, you do something together. And so I thought maybe once a week, every time I do a StitchyTube video, I'll challenge you to do something and then we'll all do it together. And if you're watching this late, go ahead and do it, even if we've already all done it. But my cheap and cheerful thing this week is to paint your toenails. And so just find some polish that you've got and go ahead and paint your toenails this week. Give yourself a little treat, clean up your feet, clip your nails, paint them up, feel real pretty. I don't have very pretty toes, but they look prettier if I put some polish on them, and I never ever do. It's been years. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint my toenails this week, and I hope you will too. And that's what we call cheap and cheerful. All right. I got asked to be in this cool little group. It's called the Stitchy Carousel, and I guess they did it last year, but it's put on by Cat Crazy Creations, and I'll put her link below. And she has a YouTube channel, and the idea is that it's us sharing stash with each other. And so there are 15 participants this year, and the package starts, and then there are 8 things in it that are stitching related, and then it goes to the next person. And that person then does what I'm going to do, which is I've got the package. It arrived yesterday. I have not seen what's in the package, and I cannot show you what's in the package unless I pick something out. So I'm going to empty this out right now. And then whatever I pick, I have to replace with something else. Oh, there's good stuff in here. Okay. All right, we're going to look and see. Okay. Oh, my. Oh, my. Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, man, this is good stuff. Okay, how do I decide? Okay, I'm still looking. So anyway, I get to pick out things, and then I just have to replace whatever I got with something else. And I'm gonna see, do I want that? Kind of do. Yeah, I pretty much do. Gosh. Okay, I got 4 things. That's really, really cool. So I'm gonna show you what they are. And then I am gonna put things in from my stash that I don't need or want. And then the next person can choose from what's in the package. Isn't that cool? So the first thing that I picked out, and I don't have any of these charts, but I've always liked them, is Winter by the Cricket Collection. And she has a whole series of these like kind of seasonal words and, you know, other kind of words and things. And so I think that's really pretty. I like that. I'm gonna put these here. Then Plum Street samplers. Hello Fall and Hello Winter. How could I not want those? I'm so lucky. I gotta put in some good stuff to replace this stuff. All right. And Adam Names the Creatures by Prairie Schooler. I never got this one. I used to sell it in my shop. It's an old one. This one's from 1991. And it's the original, original printing. It's book number 31. You do see this one on eBay sometimes. I don't know if it's in print anymore. I guess I'm not sure. But I love Adam and Eve samplers, but I love animals on samplers. And this has got, what is that? Like rabbits? And this a weasel? I don't know. You think that's a weasel? A cat? I don't know. Anyway, thanks. that's super cool. There's other good stuff in here too. I'm going to take those 4. And I feel very lucky to get those 4. So thank you so much. And then I'm going to replace what's in there, and then I have to mail it out priority mail. And am I sure that's what I want? I think, yeah. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm going to take. That's all I'm going to take. Okay, and so the group is closed. It's nothing you can join, but there is a group of 15 of us that are going to share them on our videos. And so that's me sharing mine. Thank you so much. And thanks, Sonia, for asking me to participate. How fun is that? All right, it's that time again. It's time to talk about what I'm all into. I have to laugh. And Vanna, you know I love you. You know I love you, Vanna. That her last video, now I saw she just posted one like a half an hour ago, but the video before, she said, I know, Kitten Stitcher, she does this what I'm all into, and I don't want to steal her idea. So I'm going to call this What's Hooked Vanna. And then she had this slide that says What's Hooked Vanna, which is great. Fine. You can borrow from me. I have no problem with that. I think it's awesome. It's, to me, what do they say? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And so when someone likes you enough to do something the way you do it, to me, that's a huge compliment. It doesn't cost me anything. It makes me feel good. So, but anyway, so Vanna was like, so I'm not going to call it what I'm all into because I don't want Teresa to feel like I'm honing in on her parade. So I'm going to call it What's Hooked Vanna. So then she goes, okay, so the first thing that's hooked Vanna is this, blah, 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 blah. And then she did like 5 more things, and she goes, and another thing that I'm all into, she said it every time, and another thing I'm all into. I was like, oh, Vanna, I just love you. You're so great. So you can be into things. You can totally be into things. Okay, what I'm all into right now is staying up late. And I've never been a night owl. I've always been kind of one of those early to bed, early to rise people. And so even like I struggle. Like when it's New Year's Eve, I just go to bed. I don't want to stay up till midnight. And when I was always the first one to fall asleep at a sleepover. I don't know, call me a party pooper, whatever. I guess I just was a morning person. And my brain gets real dull, I feel like around 9 o'clock. Like if I had to take night classes, when I was in graduate school, I had to take some night classes, and it was like, ugh, I just don't think as well. But lately, I've been staying up really late working on my models for my new pieces and watching FlossTube. And it's nothing that you really need. I don't really need my mind per se to sit and stitch. Like I know how to do it. It's kind of just an automatic activity, and I enjoy watching people. It's very relaxing. And so like I've been staying up this week until like 2 a.m. Last night my son came out to get a drink of water. He goes, "Are you still up?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Isn't it kind of late?" And I said, "I don't know, what time is it?" And he said, "It's like 1." And I was like, "Oh, I suppose I should go to bed pretty soon." I just think it's funny. I don't know that it'll last, but for right now, I'm all into staying up late. Number 2, things that I'm all into. Safe Light Repair, auto glass repair place. I am not getting paid for this promotion. I had a chip in my windshield, and my husband had a cracked windshield, and we just hadn't dealt with it. And I was like, okay, we just need to do this. And I called the insurance company, and they were like, well, you doesn't meet your deductible, so doesn't cover, our insurance doesn't cover the windshield. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So then I was like, I've never had a crack in my windshield before. I've never had to have one fixed. So I just Googled, windshield repair in Hattiesburg, and one of the top things was Safe Light Repair. And I knew their little jingle, Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace. And so I went to their website, and it said, you want a quote? And I was like, sure. So you just put in like the make and model of your car and the year, and like, is the crack, they ask like, is it repairable, or do we have to replace it? And then they tell you what criteria it has to meet. So then you do that, and then you tell them which window it is, where it is. And then they're like, okay, this is how much it is. And it was like $100 to fix I had 2 chips. And my husband's was $200, and his had to be replaced entirely. He's got a Mustang. And then they say, well, okay, would you like to make an appointment? And they say, what day? And you pick a day. And then they're like, what time? And then they show you all the available times. And you can either have them come to you or you go to them. And we just went to them. And it was so easy. We made the appointment, and immediately they texted us and emailed us to let us know when the appointments were. They were very professional. I found a coupon on Retail Me Not for $20 off of each of ours. So we saved $40 on Retail Me Not just by putting in a coupon code. They ask you on the website, do you have a coupon code? And you can pay when you're making the appointment, or you can pay at the appointment. We paid at the appointment. I figured just in case there was some, an extra charge or something, which there was not. They were very nice, very friendly, very professional. They were great communicators. It's going to take this long. This is what we're doing. You know, it was perfect. Clean facility. I don't know what yours is like in your town. In Hattiesburg, Safelite, I was really impressed, and I definitely will go back. Number 3 thing I'm all into is drinking water. And like, I don't know, 6 months ago, I was like, you know what? I need to drink more water. And I saw it as kind of like a chore. Like, I like to drink Coke. I just do. And I drink too much Coke. I just do. And I was always like, okay, I really just need to drink more water. And so I would go pour a glass of water at the fridge and then just stand and chug it. And it's just like, okay, it's kind of like taking your medicine. So I was like, you know what, Teresa, you're not running around all day. You're going to get fat sitting at home stitching, watching YouTube until 2 a.m. So you need to drink more water and just be healthier. So what I do now is I just get a glass of water and I just keep it near me. And I don't really think about it. And I drink it because it's there. If I had a Coke there, I would also drink it because it was there. I don't enjoy water. It's not something like I'm like, oh, this water is so good. I don't hate water. It doesn't bother me. It's just I know that I need to drink it. So I'm drinking it. I'm just drinking it by making it available, and it has really helped. Like, I feel better. I feel better because I'm drinking a lot more water. Probably drinking 4 or 5 glasses a day, which is great. Good. It's very good. Okay, the last thing that I'm all into is pashmina. What is pashmina? So when I went to market, I went to Anne's booth at Gloriana Threads, and her threads are pretty and lovely and wonderful anyway. But I told her about this thing, and I'm going to tell you in a minute what it is that I'm working on. And I said, this is what I'm looking for. You know, what do you think? She goes, oh, here, try this. And she hands me a couple of skeins of this pashmina, and she gave me a couple of reds because I wanted red. This one is called Black Cherry Pashmina. And it is, you get 6 yards, and it's cashmere and silk. Silk and cashmere. Cashmere and silk. It is like angel eyelashes. It is like bird breaths. It's like soft, and it's lovely to work with. It's an interesting fiber because it separates into 4 strands, or it separates into 8 strands, which is perfect for what I'm working on. And I'm going to show you what I'm working on. This is going to be a limited edition kit that comes from me. I'm trying to think, did I name this yet? So I've been working on my website, and I want to do some things like that are just kind of exclusive things that I do for a short while and then just done. And so I have this sampler that I bought a number of years ago on eBay for $25. I don't know much about it at all. It's really in tough shape. This actually is looking clearer on the screen than it looks in person. Like, it is almost not, I think because I'm holding it up to the light, you almost can't see what's on the sampler. It's so faded. The back has got a little more color to it. So what that tells me about this sampler is that someone loved this. Someone had this on display for a very long time. When I got it, it was not framed, but in the corners, it obviously was pressed between glass and something because it's like so smushed, it's shiny. It is not stitched in wool, and it's not stitched in silks. It's stitched in whatever. I don't know what this fiber is. Probably this is a marking sampler. So this would have been used for, the girl would have learned to make her letters and numbers to mark linens so that they could be identified when they were taken to the laundry. And the cool thing about it is, like, it starts, you see it's just got eyes all across the top. So that's just like, okay, let's make this shape and see how it goes. Then they made 2 of each letter, and let's see how that goes. Then they made numbers, then they made the alphabet just as a run, and then this alphabet down here at the bottom is done in 4-sided stitch, and then her name is stitched, some of it over 1 thread. So there's a lot of lessons in this tiny little sampler. And even the lines between each, like a few of the first lines are just straight lines as dividing borders. And then it's like, okay, now let's do a checked border. Now let's do kind of a wavy border. And they get more complicated too until you've got like this kind of key style border here at the bottom. Really, really cool. So I've had this for a number of years, and I've wanted to do something with it. And I have, 2 other samplers that I've released that I call ragamuffins, which means it's a sampler that I got. It's in really tough shape, and I got to kind of bring it back to life a little bit and kind of jazz it up. So this is one definitely that needed some jazzing because I couldn't... I like to reproduce things to the way they look on the front, and this would look terrible on your wall because it really is like you almost can't see it. So what I'm doing is I'm using this pashmina in crimson, and I'm stitching it on flax Belfast, and you can see here are the 4-sided stitches at the bottom there. So it's all in one color. I think I'm going to be able to do it with 2 skeins. And it has been so fun. And working with this thread is just, it's super soft. It's creamy. It's great. It's great. So I'm almost done with this. I've contacted the fabric company and the fiber company to work on getting those supplies so that I can kit this up. The way that it's going to come, hang on. Okay, I'm back. It was the FedEx man. So the way that I'm going to kit it up is you're going to get, right now, I think the way you're going to get it is you're going to get the fabric, the specialty fibers, needle, chart, explanation, lesson, and then something, I'm making something that'll go in every one, and you're going to get something that I'm all into. So I think it's going to be kind of fun. And it's, I don't know, I'm going to have to see how, if you think that sounds exciting, let me know. If you think that sounds stupid, let me know. I don't know how many to make. And so it's possible that if people go bananas, I don't want people to be sad. So if I made like let's say 100 of them and people were like, I'll make another 100. I don't want you guys to be sad, but I'm not going to make them forever. So it'll just be kind of one of those things that it's available for a short time. And if you get it, you do. And if not, you don't. And I would like to do these just kind of once in a while as kind of a fun something. So anyway, that's my idea. And so the stitcher, I don't know the year it was stitched. She just has an initial S and a last name of Ward, and she was 7 when she stitched that little sampler. So I think it's really cool, and I think she would be pleased. I think she would have loved to stitch this in red. Red was used often to mark the linens. They would use red thread. And so I think if she had had access to pashmina, she totally would have stitched it in that. So we're going to honor her and remember her and stitch her little sampler. All right, that's what I'm all into this week. I had a great time at the Lucky Rabbit, Seek the Unique, yesterday. The Lucky Rabbit is a local, how do I describe it? I mean, I'll show you. You're going to see some interviews and some pictures and some video footage and some things that I bought. But it's once a month. It starts on the first Thursday of the month and then runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's downtown in an old warehouse that is brimming with amazing things. And you guys would just die. I would not be surprised if some of you book a flight to Hattiesburg to come to this great, great show. It's, mainly like vintage, antique stuff, kitschy, retro things, homemade things, cool food and beverages. Sometimes they have entertainment. You can go outside and play games. They've got a theater upstairs now that you can sit and watch Mr. Rogers. It's really, really cool. And it's just once a month, but then they do open up for the Black Friday, Saturday weekend also. And so it's just a great place to find one-of-a-kind things, support these, little businesses. And it's just done perfectly. It is run like a well-oiled machine. And it just always, I was there for hours. You could just really spend a whole day in there. It's super, super fun. So that's what the Lucky Rabbit is. I had a booth at the Lucky Rabbit a couple of years ago, and I had really cool stuff. I'm going to see if I can find any pictures. I'm going to put some pictures right here so you can see what my booth looked like. So I had a lot of things that I made, handmade things, some of my charts and models, and it didn't go that great. There aren't a lot of people at the show anymore that make things. People like to look at those things but not buy them. was my experience. And I think that was the experience with a lot of people who made handmade things. There are still some people there who make handmade things. People who shop the show want a good deal. And so everything there is just a bargain, and it's cool. But I had a great time. It was really fun to decorate my booth and to come up with ideas of things, and I'm super glad that I did it. It was really fun. And the way that it works is anybody, can kind of apply. I don't think they have openings. There are no empty spaces, but you pay a booth fee based on the size of your space, and the spaces there are all kinds of different spaces and sizes of spaces. And so you pay a monthly fee, and then you pay a percentage of your sales. And they're only open the 4 days. And so you have an entire month to get things ready, get your booth set. They'll have Abby and Brandon, who run the show, they have a Facebook page for people who are vendors that is a closed group, but it's, it's like, okay, Easter's coming up. Let's make sure to make our booths look real springy and stuff. So, and it really, it always kill it. Christmas is amazing, and I for sure will do another video when it's Christmas. If you guys like what you see, let me know, and I'll go, a couple times a year and take you on a tour and show you some of the cool things that they've got. It's just fun to see. I wish I could take you all with me. It's super, super fun. But now I'm going to show you some footage of the show and some pictures, and I think I'm going to try to talk over the pictures too to just explain what it is that you're seeing. But anyway, have fun looking at things from Hattiesburg's very own Lucky Rabbit Marketplace. We are outside the Lucky Rabbit. Opens on Thursdays, the first Thursday of the month, and it's open Thursday through Sunday. And it's always fun to go in because every time it's something different. So let's go inside and see what's new. All right. You can see there is just tons and tons and tons of cool stuff in this building. There's a second level too. And there's always just so much fun stuff here. So let's go look at a few booths and see what's going on here at the Lucky Rabbit this weekend. This display is too cute. Got the old bed stand filled with flowers and old bikes hanging up. And there's some bikes even hanging from the ceiling way up high. Here's another bike over here. More bikes hanging. This just screams spring to me. What a great time of year. So cute. The way the Lucky Rabbit works is that people can rent booth space each month and then just decorate their booths and sell things in their booths that they find. And so some people go to estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores, and just sell all these cool old things. And, look at these ashtrays. Doesn't that just take you back? I mean, every time I come to the Lucky Rabbit, I think, I'm an antique already because I recognize a lot of these things from my past. Here's a neat little Afghan here in gold and cream and brown. A lot of what's real popular is for people to sell furniture that they have refinished. This is a beautiful dresser. It's only $329. And it's been repainted and refinished, so it looks a little bit more updated. Look at all the storage in that. Absolutely cute. Okay, so I just found this amazing quilt top. Well, it's actually a quilt. It's all done. Look at the colors on this. And it is the real deal. It is an antique. A lot of spots in it are threadbare. I think I might go home with that. What do you guys think? That is absolutely a stunner. Amazing. But here, this is another booth, and you can see just super cute. All kinds of old stuff. And every little booth has its own personality. Here's some pretty little bird prints, kind of all decked out in a cupboard with succulents and an old locker basket. Charming, charming, charming. This whole place, all of this just makes me think of Priscilla and Chelsea. Here we've got a really cool crock full of just old rolling pins. And this booth is just super cute too. And the prices here are always so reasonable. But you can see, even up above, you've got the tin, kind of a faux tin roof. Some handmade jewelry. Again, the repainted furniture. Absolutely, absolutely so cute. I wish I could bring all you guys with me so you could see. You guys would have so much fun here. It's just absolutely adorable. Upstairs, they've got this new little room where it's set up like a theater, and they've got a large screen TV. And look who's here.
It's a beautiful day.
It's Mr. Rogers. How wonderful. That tickles me. So I would guess that families can come up here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. There's like a little theater of chairs set up here with old theater chairs. And there's some products in the back too. Very cool. Here's an overhead shot of what the Lucky Rabbit looks like from up on the top floor. There's 2 floors, and they do not leave 1 inch undecorated. I mean, every single place that you look is full of just tchotchkes and neat old antiques and things. And it's just like a feast for the eyes. You could literally spend a couple of days here and continue to see new things. Just great, absolutely great. This is a really neat booth. It's called CT Reclaimed, and everything here is made with reclaimed materials from farms. It's metal and rebar and wood and, you know, chunks of old barns and things. Now that's just an antique here. But like, look at this cool side table with the rebar legs. It's like simultaneously old. I love that whole table. How cool is that? I'm gonna zoom in on that so you can see the finish. It's just a charmer. And I mean, $250, which it's a one-of-a-kind piece of art. Neat. I'm here in Mississippi, and so a lot of people are showcasing porch swings, which I think is just so charming. And this, of course, is a perfect time of year to swing on your porch swing. But I just wanted to show off these really cool handmade pillows. They're real patchy. Isn't that cute? I've never seen anything like this before. These are old copies of old library cards made into greeting cards. And they're the actual antique library cards that are decorated then with a stamp and made into greeting cards. There's Confederacy of Dunces, which is a great one. I just think they're, what a cool, charming idea. I was going to take a still picture of this, but I'm going to just take a video of these kind of blowing in the fan breeze. They're little chandeliers made out of old cutlery and silverware. Isn't that pretty? It's a nice noise. My cats would go crazy, I think. This is a really cute little booth. They've got a lot of, you know, just kind of similar things. Painted furniture, real pretty. Light, airy. Springy. Lovely. Hey, StitchyTube people. This is Brandon, and he and his wonderful wife, Abby, run the Lucky Rabbit. And what year did y'all open?
This is actually our birthday month.
It's your birthday month?
Yes, we are 5 years old.
Okay, that's amazing. And
Yes.
and tell me about the building.
The building that we are housed in actually was built in the 20s, and it's called the Hawkins Hardware Wholesale Department building. It used to house all kind of wholesale goods that would ship, you know, everything from athletic stuff to shaving razors to all the hardware stores all over the southeast. So when we moved in, there was nothing in here.
And do you own the building or do you rent it?
We actually lease the building.
Uh-huh.
We want to own the building. We treat the building like we own it. We've done a lot of work on it, a lot of upgrades. But it's one of those deals where, you know, the Lucky Rabbit wouldn't be what it is if we didn't do those things, you know.
It seems like every time I come, there's different, like, fixtures and walls and, like, do you ever sleep or?
We don't sleep. We do a little bit after we close because we are only open the 4 days. So
right.
After that 4 days, we take a little siesta for about a week and then we get right back at it. But as far as all the changes goes, we're here all the time. Like, you know, we're only open to the public 4 days, but we're here. We get sick of seeing the same things, you know, the same things sitting there and all that, so we constantly are changing it up, which is good for you guys, because when you get to come in, it's different each time.
Right. Now, if you could go back 5 years and, like, just be brand new Brandon in this empty building and then look forward to now, like, what would you be most amazed by?
Most amazed by just the vast amount of junk / stuff that I now own.
Right.
When it's in the building, it's all cool, but we said if we didn't have the Lucky Rabbit, what would we do with all this stuff? You know,
right,
I mean,
right.
I've got signs, all this McDonald's stuff. I got a couple of Ronald McDonald's, and, you know, arcade. It's just a vast amount of things that can only work here. You know, if we didn't have this, I mean, I don't know what I would do.
So I know that you sell a lot of the old things that you find. Is there an item that you can think of that you sold that still to this day you're like, dang it, I wish I had kept that?
There's some things like that. There's a few signs like that I've sold. I mean, nothing really.
Like metal signs, like
advertising stuff. I had a sign one time that just said, I know this is weird, but funeral stuff is really popular, like in the sign industry. And one of them said, "Slow death in the family." I guess it was a sign they put up.
Okay.
Like if somebody's family member had died, they put it up in the neighborhood
or
something. You know, I sold that for a little too much, not enough money, and so that's something that
you kind of regret it.
Kind of haunts me.
Yeah. And how far do you have people come to come visit the Lucky Rabbit?
We're reaching about anywhere 1.5 to 2 hours generally.
Right.
I mean, we have a lot of regulars from Mobile and New Orleans, you know, which are about 1.5 to 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So we're very thankful that people are making the trip to Hattiesburg every month.
What's really hot right now?
What's really hot right now would just be springy stuff. People are liking people are liking the good weather, so they're wanting things that they can put in their yard and that kind of thing.
You can't beat April in Mississippi. I mean, it's like the primo month.
It really is. It really is. So.
Well, thanks so much for visiting with us today, and I hope that some of my viewers can come and visit you guys real soon.
Yeah, check us out.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm done at the Lucky Rabbit. I had a great time. I left with some Kickapoo Joy Juice, which is so amazing. It's kind of like limey, lemony, gingery. But I feel so much joy when I drink it. Great time. I'll show off what I bought later in the video. See you soon. Bye. All right, here's some great pictures, just shots of different booths. It's always so neat to just see how every booth is put together. There are just different color schemes and different personalities to each booth. And every time you go, every booth is different. It's like they remake it. Here, read this. Your husband called. He said, buy anything you want. Nice. Here's a little bit of candle wicking with a chicken. And see the little tiny cross stitch of a house. Cute. Not every booth has things that are old or made. This booth actually sells new things that are made to look old. Here's kind of a manly booth with some Harley Davidson equipment and old things. Some dough bowls. I really wanted to find a good dough bowl, and these weren't as big as they look. I loved this, $185. Why did I not buy it? How cool is that? It's even missing a handle, which to me makes it better. Really, really pretty. And you know, they've had this same kind of rustic farm look for the 5 years that they've been open. You know, really, it's kind of something that's all of a sudden real popular, but this kind of old kitschy style is kind of what the Lucky Rabbit has always sported. Lots of painted furniture, and I just love that it's using old things and making them look new and fresh again. And pretty much everything you see in every booth is for sale. There's a price tag on almost everything. There were a couple of really cool old Underwood typewriters that were in really tough shape, but even just as decor, I think they're cool. And you know, if you need a kitschy Ken doll, you can find those there too. Tables stacked on top of tables, and it's just a treasure hunt because there's things tucked in every nook and cranny, and so you just kind of dig through all of these shelves to look for the treasures, to look for the things that you just can't live without. These signs were really cute, only 10 bucks. I don't know if they're made or if they're brought in, but they were really, really cute. And even just everything is so decorated. It's exploding with color this time of year. So springy. This is a view into the downstairs level, into a booth. I like that dresser, that blue dresser. It's real pretty. Old cabinet filled with all kinds of goodness. More painted furniture, more old things. Old equipment even. I loved that table. Somebody bought it while I was there, of course. Really, really neat. I think somebody kind of cobbled it together from pieces and parts. This person sold succulents, and I really, really wanted to buy a couple, but I was just afraid my cats would eat them, and I just don't know where I would put them that they couldn't get at them. So there's a picture. They were very pretty. And some of the stuff is handmade. You do see handmade things there. Not a lot, not as much anymore as used to be. This is a display made out of an old crib spring, you know, mattress spring. I should have bought this. How cute is that? Owls. It was like 10 inches tall, so these owls were just tiny little ceramic owls. Number of clothing booths too with really neat clothing, and they have little dressing rooms there too that you can try stuff on. These were handmade little wooden chunks of wood with farm animals I thought were really cute. More painted furniture. So fun to see what people do with that. This was my very first mirror selfie. I don't think I've ever taken a selfie before, but this mirror was too cool not to take a selfie in it. And there's some more pretty pastel-y, chalky looking things. It just makes you want to take everything home with you. It's all just so prettily put together. A little old door with a window into another booth, so cute. And things get picked over the course of the weekend. I went on Thursday, which is the first day, and you want to go on the first day. A lot of times things are on sale the last day, so you can get some bargains then, but the really good stuff goes. Brandon wanted me to make sure to get a shot of that. He made this old fridge into a beer fridge. And this is all kinds of interesting sodas that they fly in from California. That's where I got my Kickapoo soda. Here are some cross-stitch mugs. Had to take a picture of those. How cute are those? Kiss and don't last. Cook and do. And then I think I bought at least one of my spools at this booth. They had a lot of kind of sewing things. I thought this teal with the cherry and the off-white was real pretty. That was an old baby blanket that was just worn and so soft, and it had animals embroidered all over it. It was really cute. That's an old stovetop implement of some kind for keeping things warm. I think it was like $45. It was really neat. I tried to think of a way to incorporate it into my booth at Market, but I don't know, a stove? More prettiness. Just twigs and branches and country goodness. That pig, I thought the painting of the pig is really cute. And I loved those cherry red plates. So pretty. Had a great time at the Lucky Rabbit as always. Everything is just so gorgeous and you just feel so happy the whole time that you're there seeing all of the pretty things that they have to offer. What a great business. Super fun. Super fun. Love it. Love it. Really, really a great little business and just so unique. And there have been kind of copycats in the area who have tried to do something similar. And I know that they get kind of bummed out. It's like, oh, but remember, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And really nobody does it better than the Lucky Rabbit. Okay, so what did I get? I got a few things. I really did. And I put some things back, but not very many. And it would be fun to have unlimited funds, wouldn't it? But I got some great things. I got some really great things. I got these soaps that are homemade. I got oatmeal milk and honey and black raspberry vanilla. I love like goat's milk soap, handmade soap. It smells so good. It feels so good. If you've never had like stuff on my nose, I think I just got soap on my nose. If you've never had like homemade soap, you really should treat yourself to some if you see some like at a craft fair or something. The foam that you get off of a handmade soap is so light and just not like sticky at all, and it doesn't feel harsh. It is a real treat, and they last a good long time. And so I hadn't had any handmade soap for a couple of years, and so I went ahead and got 2 of these kind of area soaps made by Jessie T. I tried to find out information on her online, and I just didn't see anything. A few booths had these cool spools. I love antique spools. You know, these would have been used in manufacturing of fabrics and threads and things. And this one I thought was great because it's got this like orange peachy lacquer that's all chipped. Isn't it funny that we just buy this garbage? And I got these 2 at a different booth. This one says, "Expensive bobbin, do not drop." It was $7. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's funny. But I just love that it's all weathered. And they had a bunch of them. And then I got this little one too, which I really liked because it's got the metal on it. And I may wrap lace around it. I think it would be cool too to just like stitch something really thin and narrow and then just use it as a finishing, like a display. I don't know. But I like them. So I got those. Inexpensive. Really, really cool. I got cookie cutters. I have some Christmas ones that are like these old style cookie cutters. Look, I found a chicken and I found a rabbit and they were $2. And I think they're really cute. And all I have is Christmas ones like this. And so I got these 2. And so I'll have them for next year for Easter and spring to make some sugar cookies. Won't that be fun? I just love them. Just love them. I got these cool bowls. There were 5 of them. And I found them since on eBay. They're by Honig of California. Hoenig. And they must not have been super rare because there were probably 20 different listings for them on eBay. I may buy a few more because I got a set of 5, which is kind of a weird set. I paid $10 for 5 of them, which I think is a good deal. But they're just a really pretty soft green blue. little apple dishes, and they'd be great for like dessert, ice cream, happy things, right? Yogurt, maybe a little bit of muesli, oatmeal, whatever. So those I thought were super neat. I'm gonna run out of room to put everything. I found this purse, a beaded purse, and I'm not really necessarily a beaded purse person, but this was $12. And when I opened it up, it says in here that it was made for Gimbel's department store. It was made in Belgium. It was made for Gimbel's department store, which opened in the 1800s and has been closed for decades. But it was kind of a hoity-toity department store. And it's in really good shape. There's one spot over here that's missing a little line of beads. But then the cool thing is that, you know, the inside is kind of this just real pretty buttercream color. And then there's the original pocket mirrors in there where it's, and it came in a little pouch. Which I need to clean it. But anyway, how neat is that? Oh, Teresaception. Look at, oh no. So anyway, I thought that was really cool, and I like the little clasp. So, very cute. I may just use it in market displays too. I just think it's neat. I got a frame for $7.95, and there are a lot of people in the booths that do these frames where they find frames at garage sales and you know, flea markets and thrift stores and things like that. But it's, you know, repainted with milk paint. And I just thought this was, kind of matches those apple dishes I got a little bit. But I thought this would look really nice on a Brenda Gervais piece because a lot of times she uses that really soft, pretty pale blue. And who can beat an $8 frame? You know what I mean? It's very sturdy. It's like in really good shape. The corners are nice and tight. I got this for $3. It's a reproduction, but it says from original old bullet mold ladle. So they would have used something like this to pour the metal to make bullets. But to me, what does this say? It says pin cushion. There's pin cushion written all over this for $3. Get out of town. Lots of needlework at the show too. Embroidery mainly, some cross stitch like from the 70s and things. And I took pictures of some of that so you'll see. But I found these crocheted doilies. Can you see how long that is? It's super long. And I thought, oh, that's maybe something new. But it smells like Grandma's house. So I think it's old. And then I got this one too. Isn't that pretty? $7.50 for both of them. Couldn't not, and they're in perfect shape. There's not a thread missing. They're in great shape. They're very clean. I think somebody made these and they went and sat in someone's drawer for decades. So they should be being used, I think, because they're very, very pretty. And it's very cottony feeling, very cottony. So that's really cool. Okay, and the last thing, you know, like you go to these places and sometimes you just like, you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, wait, what's that? So I saw this thing peeking out of a drawer, and you know, this place is crammed full of stuff, and you've already seen it, but it was not as much as I showed it, but there was just like a little corner of this thing poking out of a drawer. And I was like, ooh, what are the colors on that? That's beautiful. And I pulled it out and I was like, okay, this is coming home with me. Like there's no one else needs to own this ever. And so I'm going to show it to you. And I think you'll agree that it's wonderful. And I got to get my cat off of it because she's like, oh, a new place to rest. So here it is. It is a blanket. It is an old quilt. How pretty is that? I think it is so, 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 so pretty. It is hand quilted. It totally screams Barb and Alma to me, like just the kind of folk style flowers. It's in shape. It's not in perfect shape. It's all held together. There's nothing like falling out of it. But it is threadbare in areas. Hey, Graham. It is threadbare in areas. And so, especially like whatever this cream fabric was that they used, you can just see all the way through it in a lot of places. And it's stained a little, but the red has just held true. And I just think it's amazing. And I just thought it was so cool. I may design a piece based on the colors and some of the motifs in this. I think it's really, really, really cool. So as I was leaving, I talked to Abby, who is the owner of the Lucky Rabbit. She was at the door. I go, Abby, I got to show you what I found. And I hold up my bag, and she like peeks, and she goes, oh yeah. She goes, that was one of mine, because she has a booth too. And I said, where did you find it? And she said, I found it at a estate sale. Two older people, like in their 90s, both died. And so she went and, shopped through their things. And she said, I was one of the first ones in the door. And she said, I grabbed that because I was like, that is special. And so that was really all she knew about it, was that it was an elderly couple. And so I have no idea how old it is. It's old. It is old. And it is amazing. And what a treasure. So I told her, I said, this is, definitely going to be loved. And so she thought that was really cool. But that's what I got at the Lucky Rabbit. Like I said, there were some things that I picked up that I put back. There were some things that I went and looked back at a couple of times, some old milk pails and stuff like that. Oh, so cool. But anyway, I hope if you're in the area ever when the Lucky Rabbit is going on, that you'll be able to take the time to come and check it out. Okay, last little segment, and then we'll talk about the drawing. Let's talk about my works in progress and my finished objects. So I already showed you the S. Ward reproduction that I'm working on. I finished this week the next part of the Jenny Bean for the Parlor series. And remember, this is going to be an 8-part series. This is part 4, so it's half done. And the idea behind this piece is that girls, when they stitched samplers, they would take them home, the family would frame them, they would hang them in the parlor to show, like, I value my daughter's education, look at how accomplished she is, she made this. It was kind of like hanging your spelling test on the fridge, but in sampler style. It was just a way for parents to show they were really proud of their children. And so the idea with this is called For the Parlor, the For the Parlor series, is that this would be a sampler that you would hang in your parlor to show how proud you were. And so it's big. It will fit on a skinny half of 32, 36, or 40 count linen. If you want to stitch it on 28 count, it won't easily fit on a skinny half, but you could leave one section out and just do 7 of the parts and then still have it work. So part 1 was the alphabet. Part 2 was Adam and Eve. Part 3 was Noah's Ark. And part 4 is the Good Shepherd. Whoop, let's swing it this way. And so it's got some sheep and some hills and some trees and some blackbirds and some little folky angels in the bottom corners there. And it was really fun to stitch. I like that whole idea of the let the children come to me. I was watching an interview with Mr. Rogers recently, because I do that sometimes. And he was talking about that part of the Bible. And he said he really felt that when Jesus said, let the children come to me, that he wanted to learn from the children, that you can learn a lot from children. And that's not where I got the idea for this. It just was coincidental. I had already designed it and was stitching it when I heard that interview. But I think that's really cool. Because Jesus was gentle and kind. And he liked children. And that's really cool. And, so anyway, that's part 4. And part 5 I'll start designing soon and hopefully have that out in another month. I'm going to be printing these in the next couple of days, and they'll be going out to the shops that have pre-ordered and to the distributors. And my friend Jen at Jen's Stitching Niche will have it. I'll put a link below to her shop so that you can find those charts in just a couple of days here. I had a couple of other things that I worked on recently. I did continue to work on my my Kathy Barrick piece of the milliner with the big skirt, but my son borrowed my car and it's in my car, so I can't show it to you right now, and that's fine. But I did these stitching tutorials, and so if you didn't watch that, this was the little piece that I framed for the stitching tutorial. It's called Funky Bird by Barbara Anna Designs. I did see that you can find these online as a PDF download, and so that would be an easy way to get a hold of the chart if you can't find it. I don't think Hoffman Distributing distributes this chart yet, but it was really fun to stitch, and it was just in DMC. So that was a recent FFO. Another recent FFO was this one, and this was a kit that I got at a consumer show a long time ago, and I stitched on it off and on for years. I finally recently finished it, but it had gotten stained in the meantime, so I just went ahead and tea and coffee dyed the heck out of it, and I think it looks really cool. The frame shop cut the frame too small. The rabbit was wider than what they allowed for. And so you can see up in this corner, this bee's wings are cut off. And they said, oh, we'll make you another frame. But I was like, you know what? I kind of like it that way, because they used to frame samplers really tight like that. And so I don't have a problem with that. I think it's cool. And so that's that one. This is a piece I know I showed in another video, our sampler exchange that we're doing with my friends. This is a Prairie Schooler piece, I think from the Spring Samplers series. And my friend Kathy stitched this for me, and it's so pretty. And she stitched it on a 40 count. It's like a 40 count even weave though. I don't know what it is, but it's really pretty. And the frame that I got is really thick, and so I can't do it in front. You can't see it, but it'll stand on its own. Like it's wide enough that you can just stand it up on a shelf, which I thought was really neat. And again, I framed it really tight. I like things to be tight. They thought I was crazy at the frame shop. They were like, don't you want a little more space? I'm like, no, I want it tight. And then this is the last FFO, and I had finished, this was one that I had like almost finished stitching, and it just was sitting in my drawer, and it was so close to being done. And one day I was just like, Teresa, just finish that stupid thing. It's so close. And I did. And it's not that it wasn't fun to stitch, because it was. And there's only 4 colors in this piece. It's from the books Thank You, Sarah Tobias by Blackbird Designs. And it's like 4 colors a week's dye works, I think. And instead of putting Sarah Tobias's name, I put my name. And I made it extend out past the border and then down a little bit, which I love. It's something that they would have done. They would have run out of room, and it's like, okay, I got to squish this in and make it fit. And my son Harrison said he thought that was really cool too. And so I did that, and I really like it. I over-dyed this one too in the oven with some coffee, and to make it look even just grungier and older, and I really like it. You can't really see it too well on screen, but a few of the areas, I threw some tea on top of there too. I just was like, what other kinds of crap can I put on top of this sampler? And I did, and some of the patches almost look kind of pinky, which looks really cool with this kind of terracotta color that's in here. But it was a really fun one to stitch. Thank You, Sarah Tobias was a book that Blackbird Designs released that I don't think it's available anymore. You may be able to find it online. You can go look for it. I think it might be one of those where it's like, if you want to find it, it's on eBay, and it's $50 to $5 or something crazy like that. But look around, you might be able to find it. It's a neat little book. That was the reproduction in the book that I really liked. There are other pieces by other people too, and it's really a neat book. I kind of feel with the Blackbird Designs books, buy them when they come out, because they go out of print and then you want it and then you can't find it. So that's that. Okay, so those are my FFOs and my whips. So the last thing that we've got to do today is the drawing. And the drawing is going to be for this doily from the Lucky Rabbit, a piece of history from Hattiesburg. It has that old grandma house smell. It smells clean. Don't get me wrong. It's not smoky or anything. It just smells like grandma, like kind of flowers and cleaner and, like a little musty, like grandma, like grandma. I have this deodorant right now that I'm using, and the name of the deodorant, and this is the reason I bought it. I don't remember what brand it is. It's the scent is called Sexy Intrigue. And I was like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Ooh, you smell good today. What is that? Well, it's Sexy Intrigue. Like, what is it? Hey, Phil, we just made this new deodorant smell. What do you think this smells like? Is it flowers? No, not really. Is it fruity? It's not. And it isn't. It's not floral. It's not fruity. It's like, I don't know what that is. So they thought it smelled like Sexy Intrigue. This smells like grandma. But anyway, this is the prize. And I think that's kind of cool. You get something like kind of antique from Hattiesburg. And so in the comments, don't say giveaway, don't say drawing, don't say freebie. Please be a subscriber. Please be at least 18 years old so you can give me your address. And then tell me what was something that what was one of the best things you found at like thrift store, flea market, garage sale, like bargain, you know what I mean? So tell me about something that you found where you were like, oh, this is awesome. I think it's funny, there's that old saying like one man's trash is another man's treasure. And it's true. It's true. Like this quilt here, I love it to pieces. Like I love it. I love it. But I think a lot of people would look at it and go, it should just go in the garbage. Like it's old and worn out. But it's really, really cool. I guess I could share one. It's not going to be something I found, but my mom and I used to go to garage sales all the time. And I would a lot of times buy books. I bought so many books. And I'd buy hats and bracelets. I was way, way into bracelets. And there was this one summer that we lived in Minneapolis, and she had gone garage sailing without me. And I think she went with my sister maybe. But anyway, she found this wool coat, a long wool black coat that was probably an expensive coat. And I don't think anybody has it anymore. This was 25 years ago, a long time ago. And she probably didn't pay that much for it, a couple dollars. But it was an expensive, long, black, stylish wool coat. And my mom saw it, and she's got a good eye for these kind of things. And she grabbed it, and she tried it on, and it fit and everything. And so she was trying to tell me the story about how she found this coat when she got home, about like what a find this was. You know, people try to like embellish and make things bigger and bigger. So she was like, when I pulled this coat out and tried it on, this other woman at the garage sale was drooling. She was literally drooling about this coat. That's how much she wanted the coat, but I had already gotten it, and she was drooling. And she used the word drooling like way too many times. And then later, she went to tell the story again because she was still so excited about it. My sister and my mom and I are standing in the kitchen, and she's like, and that woman was drooling. And my sister had been standing there like this, and she just went like this, and water poured out of her mouth. She had been waiting for my mom to tell the story with a mouth full of water so that she could illustrate what drooling looked like. And so she opened her mouth, and all of this water drool just poured out onto her shirt all over the floor. And I started laughing. Like, this is probably one of the hardest times I've ever laughed in my life. I laughed so hard that I got down on my hands and knees and pointed at the water on the floor, and all I could say was, drool! Drool! And it was so funny. Anyway, so that's one story of something amazing that we found at garage sales. But it was always fun, you know, and sometimes you just would see crazy broken things, and it's like, why would they think they could sell that? It's an adventure. It's a charming adventure where you're kind of like a pirate, and it's like, what can you find? It was really fun to spend time with you guys today. I do enjoy making these StitchyTube videos. I thank you for coming along. Make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know for sure when I post new videos. And don't forget to post something in the comments too. Ask me questions. Tell me what's your garage sale flea market find so you can get entered to win that lovely doily from Hattiesburg. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.